Welcome back to Reddit Tales by Uncle Sammy. I see you, I appreciate you, and I'm thankful you subscribed and keep showing up. This space is built on your insights. Leave your thoughts and lessons below. Now, cue the tension, cue the truth. Let's get into it. Sometimes the kindest plan can turn into the clearest test. In this story, the surprise was not about catching someone. It was about how grief can make you ignore patterns, how silence can become normal, and how small boundary breaks can pile up until one moment forces a decision. I learned that loyalty is not proved by how much you endure in private. It is proved by what both people protect when nobody is watching. And when children are involved, you do not get to postpone honesty forever. You just choose how carefully you tell it. The cruelest thing my wife ever did was not the affair itself. It was the way she made our family feel like an interruption. One hallway, one hotel door, one cold pause before she remembered how to smile. That moment rewired my memory of 17 years, like someone switched the labels on every photograph in our house. Here is how it happened. How a business trip to Seattle, a weekend surprise with my kids, and the grief I carried like a second suitcase led me to the worst discovery of my life. If you have ever ignored a small red flag because you wanted peace, stay with me. Because one quiet hotel hallway can change a whole family, and what happens next is the part nobody prepares you for. My name is Alana Whitaker. People call me Terry. I am 47 years old, and I have been married to Alana for 17 years. We have 2 kids. Malik is 16 and taller than me now, and Nia is 11 and still thinks my jokes are funny if I commit to them. I manage operations for a regional shipping company in Columbus, Ohio. Nothing glamorous, just schedules, vendors, and fixing problems before they become headlines. Alana is a corporate trainer, the kind who can command a room with a calm voice and a neat blazer. Last year was heavy. My mother passed in the spring, and I did not fall apart the way people expect. I became efficient. I handled the paperwork, made the calls, thanked the church ladies for the casseroles, and went back to work too soon. Alana said I was strong, but sometimes she said it like a compliment and sometimes like a complaint. I stopped talking about what I missed because it made her eyes flicker away, like the grief was a language she did not want to learn. Alana started traveling more right after the funeral. She said it was a promotion, more clients, more responsibility, more money. I want to be proud. I try to be proud. But the trip had a strange effect on our house. When she was gone, the kids and I fell into a steady rhythm. Homework at the kitchen table, late-night laundry, Malik arguing about his curfew, Nia making me sign off on every outfit. When Alana came home, it was like the rhythm broke, and we had to rebuild it around her mood. She was charming in public, always. At school events, she hugged my coworkers, asked teachers about their summer plans, and laughed at jokes she had heard before. People told me I was lucky. In private, she had started correcting me the way you correct a stranger. Do not say it like that. You are being sensitive. We do not have time for this. If I tried to talk about my mother, Alana would check her phone and nod at the wrong moments. Then she would apologize, but the apology felt like a task on her list. 3 days into her Seattle trip, Nia pushed cereal around her bowl like she was drawing circles on the table. Malik had his face in his phone, thumbs moving fast. I was drinking coffee that tasted burnt, staring at Alana's last text from the airport. Made it. Busy week. Love you. There was no heart emoji, which was not a crime, but it landed like a small stone in my chest. I asked the kids if they missed their mother. Nia said yes immediately. Malik shrugged in that teenager way that means yes, but also did not quote him. The idea of surprising Alana arrived like a bright thought in a dim room. I said, "What if we go see Mom this weekend?" Nia's eyes widened so fast, I almost laughed. Malik looked up, skeptical at first, then curious. "You mean like show up?" he asked. I nodded. We would fly in, knock on her door, and she would have to stop being busy for 5 minutes. Nia clapped like I had promised her a puppy. Malik said, "That could actually be kind of cool," and I took that as approval. By lunchtime, I called my supervisor, traded a shift, and requested Friday off. I emailed Malik's school about a family trip and told Nia's teacher she would be absent. I bought 3 plane tickets, and reserved a compact rental car. The whole time, I picture Alana's face, surprise softening her edges, her voice turning warm, her arms wrapping around the kids. I told myself this would be good for her. Good for us, good for my grief too. A new memory, a clean one. I did not notice how often I checked my phone for a reply that did not come. I called Alana twice that afternoon, straight to voicemail. That was not unheard of during training sessions, but was unusual for her to ignore Malik's texts. Malik sent, "We might see you soon." Nia sent a line of heart emojis and a selfie with her bunny's face half in the frame. No response. I told myself the conference schedule was packed. The room's loud, the day's long. I told myself I was being dramatic because grief makes you distrust quiet. But that night, when I packed the kids' bags, the knot in my stomach tightened like a drawstring. Nia was the kind of child who narrated her excitement out loud. She kept asking what Seattle looked like. She asked if her mother would cry. She asked if there were whales in the water. Malik pretended not to care, but he laid out his best hoodie and asked if the hotel had a gym. After I tucked Nia in, she whispered, "Dad, do you think Mom misses us?" I paused too long. "Yes," I said finally, and I meant it, but my voice did not sound. "Sure." I sat in the hallway for a minute after her door closed, staring at the carpet, like it might give me better answers than my phone. The next day we left Columbus before sunrise. The airport smelled like cinnamon rolls and disinfectant. Malik carried his backpack with one strap like he was too cool for balance. Nia held her bunny like it had legal custody of her comfort. I kept trying Alana. Still voicemail. I sent a text. Surprise weekend. Call me when you can. I stared at the screen until it dimmed. On the plane, Nia talked about all the things she would show her mother on her phone. Her drawing, her spelling test score, a video of our neighbor's dog. Malik stared out the window like he was watching the future. Seattle greeted us with cold drizzle and the sharp smell of wet pavement. Nia called it movie weather. Malik asked if we could get something to eat that was not airport food. The rental car line was long. The clerk moved slowly, and the fluorescent lights made everyone's face look tired. My patience thinned in a way that embarrassed me. Grief had made me irritable, and stress made it worse. When we finally pulled onto the highway, Nia hummed a song she made up on the spot. Malik watched me drive, quiet, reading the tension like he always did. Alana's company had booked her at a high-end hotel near the waterfront. Glass walls, soft music, and a lobby that smelled like expensive soap. The kids stared at the tall ceilings and the art on the walls. "This is fancy," Nia whispered. I told him to sit on a couch while I checked in and found out Alana's room number. My hands felt too large as I approached the front desk. The receptionist smiled politely, the kind of smile that belongs to her job. I said, "My wife is staying here, Alana Whitaker. I'm trying to reach her." The receptionist typed, nodded, and said, "Yes, Mrs. Whitaker is with us. Would you like me to ring her room?" Relief washed over me so hard my knees nearly softened. "Please," I said. The phone call went through, and the receptionist listened, then frowned gently. No answer. My throat tightened. "Could you try again?" I asked, pretending I was calm. She tried again. Same result. She offered to leave a message. I shook my head. I told her we were surprising Alana, that she did not know we were coming. The receptionist's expression flickered, like she was deciding what she was allowed to say. She handed me key cards and said, "You are in room 914. Then she hesitated and added, "Mrs. Whitaker is in 908. I blinked. "Same floor," I said. She nodded, "Just down the hall." Then in a quieter voice she said, "Her reservation lists 2 guests." The words landed wrong, like a note in a song that does not belong. 2 guests. I repeated. The receptionist's face tightened with discomfort. "It may be nothing," she said quickly, as if she wanted to pull the words back into her mouth. I forced a laugh and said, "Maybe a colleague," but my stomach did not believe me. I walked back to the kids, carrying the key cards like they were heavier than plastic. Nia was swinging her legs, excited. Malik watched my face, his eyes narrowing. "Mom's room." Nia asked, "We're going to our room first," I said, keeping my voice steady. Malik followed without speaking. In the elevator, Nia practiced what she would say. "Surprise! We missed you." Malik stared at the floor number lights like he was counting down to something he did not want to see. My heart beat too loud in my ears. I told myself not to ruin a good moment with anxious imagination. In our room, the kids dropped their bags. Nia went straight to the window. Malik sat on the edge of the bed, still watching me. I told them to wash their hands and freshen up. "We will go see Mom in a minute," I said. When they were distracted, I stepped back into the hallway alone. The carpet muffled my footsteps. Room 908 was down the hall, exactly as the receptionist said. I stopped outside the door and listened. At first there was nothing. Then I heard faint music, low laughter, and a sound like someone moving furniture or a suitcase being dragged. My throat went dry. I knocked. No answer. I knocked again, harder. The laughter stopped abruptly, like someone pressed pause. I pulled out my phone and typed, "I'm outside." Opened the door. My hand shook so slightly I hated myself for it. I tried calling Alana from the hallway. This time it rang, and that made my skin prickle because it meant her phone was not in a meeting room. The ringing stopped. The lock clicked. The door opened halfway, and Alana stood there in a hotel robe, hair tousled, cheeks flushed. Her eyes widened, then narrowed, then hardened into irritation. "Terry," she hissed, voice low, as if I was the one doing something improper. She stepped into the hallway and pulled the door toward her, blocking my view. I stared at her robe like it was a confession. "Surprise," I said, and my voice sounded too flat. "The kids and I came to see you." Her face changed, shock, then fear, then a forced calm. "You should have called," she whispered. "I did," I said, and the words came out sharp. "A lot. Who is in your room?" Her shoulders flinched. "Nobody," she said too fast. "Do not do this here." The door behind her opened wider anyway, like the truth did not care about her plan. A man stepped into view, tall, neat haircut, dress shirt half buttoned. He froze when he saw me. Alana's hand went up instinctively, like she could physically stop time. "Is everything okay?" the man asked her, and he said her name with familiarity that did not belong to a co-worker. Something cold moved through my chest. I kept my voice low. "Who are you?" The man glanced between us, confused. "I'm Devin," he said. "Devin Price, from the Minneapolis office." He looked at Alana, searching. "Alana?" I said, "Why are you in my wife's room?" Devin's eyes widened, as if he had stepped onto a floor that moved. "Your wife?" he repeated, and the word sounded like it hurt. He looked at Alana. "You said you were separated." Alana's mouth opened, then closed. No denial came. My stomach dropped, but my mind went strangely quiet, the way it does when you get bad news and your body tries to protect you from screaming. I stared at her. "You told him we were done," I said softly. She whispered, "Terry, please." Devin backed away like he wanted out of the whole scene. "I did not know," Devin said quickly. "Hands up." I swear I did not. He reached for his jacket inside the room and pulled it on with frantic efficiency. This is not what I signed up for. He avoided my eyes, ashamed, angry, or both. He stepped into the hallway and walked away fast, not running but close to it, like running would make it worse. Alana watched him go, then turned back to me with a face that tried to rearrange itself into authority. "Lower your voice," she said. "The kids are here," I replied, and my voice barely held together. "They're in room 914. Her eyes widened. "You brought them here?" she whispered, like that was my betrayal. "They wanted to see their mother," I said, and the sentence tasted like metal. "Nia's talked about you all day." Alana pressed her fingers to her temples. "Give me 10 minutes, she said. "I will come down the hall. We will talk later." "How long?" I asked. "How long has this been going on?" She stared at the carpet. "It was a mistake," she said. That was not an answer. I nodded once, because I did not trust myself to speak without breaking something. I walked away before my knees gave out. The walk back to our room felt unreal, like I was watching myself from across the hall. When I opened the door, Nia bounced up. "Did you find her?" she asked. Malik's eyes locked onto my face immediately. "Mom's coming in a minute," I said. My voice sounded normal, which scared me more than if it had cracked. Nia clapped. Malik said, "Okay," but his tone was cautious. I told them to pick a meal from the room service menu. Nia wanted pancakes, even though it was dinner. Malik wanted a burger. I pretended to read the menu while my mind replayed Alana's robe, Devin's buttoned shirt, the way she scolded me for showing up. When the knock came, Nia sprinted to the door. I stood too late to stop her. She flung it open and launched herself at Alana, who now looked polished, hair smooth, lipstick on, blazer over a blouse. If I had not seen her 10 minutes earlier, I might have believed she had been in a conference room. "Mom!" Nia squealed. Alana bent down, hugged her tight, and smiled like a professional. "Baby," she said, voice warm, perfect. "What are you doing here?" Malik stayed on the bed, arms crossed. Alana walked to him and kissed the top of his head. Malik did not move. "Hey," he said flat. Alana's smile faltered for a blink, then returned. Nia talked fast, explaining the surprise trip, the plane, the rainy weather, the fancy lobby. Alana nodded at the right moments and glanced at me with a silent message. "Do not ruin this." I sat in the chair by the window, hands clenched out of sight. When room service arrived, Nia was thrilled. Malik barely ate. Alana picked at her salad like she was eating for appearance. Then she said, "I have a client dinner tonight." Nia's face fell instantly. "Tonight?" she repeated, voice small. "We came to see you," she said, and her disappointment made my throat ache. Alana touched her hand. "Tomorrow I'm all yours," she promised. Malik stared at his plate like it had insulted him. Alana asked to speak with me in the hallway. Malik rolled his eyes, and I hated that our family was becoming predictable in the worst way. In the hallway, Alana kept her voice low. "Please," she said, "I need you to hold it together for the kids." I stared at her. "A client's dinner," I repeated. "Is that what you call it?" Her jaw tightened. "It is a client dinner," she insisted. "Devin will not be there. This account matters." I laughed once, short and bitter. "Your account matters," I said. "Our son is sitting in there learning what kind of person his mother is." She flinched. "Do not tell him," she said quickly. "I did not," I replied, "but he is not blind." Back inside, Nia tried to cheer herself up by suggesting we go see the waterfront lights. Malik watched me as if he was solving a puzzle. I agreed to the waterfront because it gave me movement, and movement was better than sitting still with the truth. Seattle at night was damp and bright. Streetlights reflecting on wet sidewalks, ferry horns in the distance, people in jackets moving like they had somewhere important to be. Nia skipped ahead, excited by everything. Malik walked beside me, hands in his pockets. After a minute, he said quietly, "Dad." I looked at him. He did not look away. "Is Mom cheating?" he asked, plain and direct, like he was asking what time it was. I almost stumbled. The question felt too grown for his age, but he asked it like a man. "Why would you ask me that?" I said, buying time. Malik's mouth tightened. "Because you are acting like you are trying not to break," he said. "Because she looked guilty when she saw you, and because she has been weird for months." The word weird sounded small for something so big. Nia called for us to look at a boat. Malik stayed focused on me. I inhaled cold air and decided I would not lie to him the way Alana lied to everyone. "Yes," I said quietly. "I found her with another man." Malik's eyes went shiny, but he did not cry. He nodded once, as if he prepared for the answer. "Do not tell Nia," Malik said immediately. His voice cracked at the end, and he cleared his throat like he was angry at his own emotion. "She still thinks Mom is perfect." I nodded. "I will not," I promised. Malik stared across the water. "What happens now?" he asked. "Are you getting divorced?" The word divorce hit me like a door closing. "I do not know yet," I said, "but I know we cannot pretend." Malik's jaw clenched. "If she loved us, she would not do this," he said, and the honesty in his voice hurt more than any insult. I wanted to defend Alana because that is what I had done for years, but my mouth would not do it. When we got back to the hotel, Nia was half asleep, head on my shoulder, bunny tucked under her chin. The hallway was quiet except for the hum of the ice machine. Alana stood outside our door, arms crossed, phone in hand. "Where have you been?" she demanded. "I have been calling." Malik brushed past her without a word and went inside. Alana's eyes followed him, confused and alarmed. "What did you tell him?" she hissed at me. "Nothing he did not already feel," I said. He asked me a question. I answered. Alana's face tightened with anger that looked like fear wearing a mask. "You had no right," she said. I stared at her. "You gave up the right to manage the truth when you broke it." I replied. Nia stirred. "Are you and Mom arguing?" she mumbled, eyes barely open. Alana forced her voice soft. "No, baby," she said. "We are just talking." Nia frowned. "It sounds like arguing," she whispered. I carried her to bed and tucked her in, smoothing her hair the way my mother used to smooth mine. My grief rose unexpectedly, sharp and hot. I thought of how my mother would have looked at Alana if she were alive. Quiet disappointment, no shouting, just a boundary drawn in calm ink. Malik sat on his bed, staring at the wall, headphones around his neck, but no music playing. He was listening to everything without wanting to. Alana asked me to come to her room. Malik said flatly, "Go handle it." Without looking at her, Alana flinched as if his tone physically struck her. In her room, the air felt staged, bed made, towels folded, no trace of what happened earlier. But I could still smell her perfume mixed with something else, and my stomach turned. Alana paced, then sat, then stood again, unable to stay still. "I made a mistake," she said. I stayed by the door. "Tell the truth," I replied. "How long?" Alana's shoulders slumped. "It started months ago," she admitted. "It was messages at first." I waited. She swallowed. "This is the third time I have seen Devin in person." My hands went cold. "Third time," I repeated, tasting the number. She nodded, tears gathering. "I was lonely," she said quickly, as if loneliness was a defense. "You were not there." Anger flared. "My mother died," I said, voice low. "I was there in the only way I knew how. I was keeping this family running." Alana's eyes squeezed shut. "I did not know how to help you," she whispered. "So you helped yourself," I said. "You found comfort in a stranger." She shook her head. "It was not comfortable. It was—" She stopped, unable to name it without making it uglier. "Validation," I said to her. She did not deny it. "What do you want?" Alana asked, voice small now. "Do you want a bag?" The question irritated me because it sounded like a performance. "I want accountability," I said, "not theatrics." Alana wiped her cheeks. "I will do counseling," she said. "I will change jobs. I will stop traveling. Whatever you want." I stared at her, and my mind flashed through our kitchen at home. Malik's sneakers by the door, Nia spelling words on the fridge, the quiet routines I had built while Alana was away. "I want peace," I said finally, "and I want my kids to feel safe." Alana leaned forward. "I can make it right," she whispered. "You cannot unmake what you did," I replied. "You can only show who you are now." The next morning, I booked the earliest flight back to Ohio. Alana cried in the lobby, discreet but real, like she could not help it. Nia hugged her and asked why she looked sad. Alana said she was tired from work. Malik stood a few feet away, silent, shoulders stiff. At the airport, Alana tried to hug him, and he allowed it for half a second, then stepped back. "Call me," she whispered to him. Malik did not answer. Nia waved from the boarding line, still cheerful, still unaware. I hated the lie we were carrying, but I hated the idea of crushing her innocence in an airport even more. On the plane, Nia fell asleep. Malik stared forward, jaw tight, like he was holding his anger in place with sheer will. Back home, the first week felt like living in a house that had shifted slightly off its foundation. Everything looked the same, but nothing felt stable. Malik went to school and came home quieter. Nia asked when Mom would be back. I said in a few days. Alana called me at night. I let it go to voicemail. When she finally returned, she stood in our doorway with a suitcase and eyes that looked older than they had before. She tried to smile at Nia. Nia ran to her, thrilled, and Alana hugged her too tightly. Malik stayed on the couch and did not stand. Alana looked at me as if asking for help. I did not give it. We tried to act normal for Nia's sake, but normal became a script with awkward pauses. Alana cooked dinner twice that week, meals she knew the kids liked, as if taste could fix trust. Malik ate quickly and left the table. Nia kept talking, filling silence with stories about school. At night, Alana tried to come into our bedroom. I said calmly, "Not yet." She looked offended, then ashamed. "You are punishing me," she whispered. "I am protecting myself," I replied. The difference mattered. I slept on the edge of the bed like I was renting space in my own marriage. My grief returned in waves. Grief for my mother, grief for my wife as I thought I knew her, grief for my kids, who did not deserve any of this. Alana wanted to explain everything at once. That was her habit. When she felt panic, she flooded the room with words. I had always been quieter, a man who organized pain into manageable pieces. Now I could not afford her flood. I started setting boundaries in plain language. Do not talk to Malik like he owes you forgiveness. Do not ask Nia to keep secrets. Do not touch my phone. Alana hated those lines because they made the consequences real. She said I was acting cold. I said, cold is what happens when warmth is used against you. In the mornings, I drove the kids to school and noticed things I had missed for years. The way Malik watched couples in crosswalks. The way Nia's smile faltered when she asked about weekend plans. Our family was learning new shapes. 2 weeks later, Malik finally exploded, not screaming, but with a sharpness that stunned Alana. It happened in the kitchen when she tried to correct his tone. Malik said, "Do not act like the authority on respect." Alana's face stiffened. "Excuse me," she asked. Malik's hands shook. "You disrespected Dad," he said, voice rising. "You disrespected us. And you stood in that hotel hallway like we were the problem." Nia froze at the table, spoon halfway to her mouth. My heart pounded. I said Malik's name softly, warning him, and he stopped, breathing hard. Nia's eyes went wide. "Hotel hallway," she whispered. Alana's face was drained of color. That was the moment we lost the option of delaying the truth. That night, after Nia went to bed, I sat with her on the couch and told her in careful sentences that Mom had made a serious mistake, that Mom and Dad were having grown-up problems, and that none of it was her fault. Nia cried in small, shocked breaths, like she could not find air between words. "Did she stop loving us?" she asked. The question broke something in me, and I had to turn my face away for a second. "She loves you," I said, because I believed it, even if her love had been selfish. But love is not the same as protecting people. Nia whispered, "Are you leaving?" I said, "We are figuring out how to keep you safe and steady, no matter what happens." Alana moved into a short-term rental a month later. We told the kids it was space to think, which was true. Malik barely spoke to her for weeks. Nia called her every night, sometimes crying, sometimes asking about homework, sometimes asking the same question in different forms. "Are we still family?" Alana tried to answer with promises. I tried to answer with honesty. The separation forced practical decisions. We split schedules, school pickups, grocery lists. I changed passwords. I did not do it to be cruel. I did it because trust is a door, and once it is broken, you do not leave the house unlocked out of politeness. Alana accused me of making her feel like a stranger. I said, "You made yourself a stranger when you built a life outside this one." Counseling started in the winter. The counselor's office smelled like peppermint tea and old books. Alana sat with perfect posture, hands folded, like she could behave her way back into safety. I sat with my hands open, palms up, a habit my mother taught me when I was a boy in church. Do not clench when you want to be heard. The counselor asked Alana why she did it. Alana talked about loneliness, about travel, about feeling invisible, and sometimes her words sounded reasonable until I remembered the hotel robe and the way she scolded me for showing up. When it was my turn, I said, I am grieving my mother and my marriage at the same time. I cannot carry both without dropping something. Alana cried. The counselor asked what I needed. I said, consistency, transparency, no more secrets that require my children to be strong for us. Weeks passed. Alana did what she said she would do. She left a travel-heavy role, took a local position, showed up to school events, paid her portion of expenses on time. She wrote Malik a letter because he refused to talk. She apologized to Nia without excuses. She apologized to me without requesting immediate forgiveness. And that was new. But forgiveness is not a switch. It is more like rebuilding a bridge plank by plank. Some days I could see progress. Other days I could not stand the sound of her voice. My grief did not help. There were nights I sat alone in the kitchen after the kids were asleep, listening to the refrigerator hum, thinking about my mother's hands, thinking about Alana's lies, wondering what kind of man I was becoming. Devin emailed Alana once after she returned home. She showed it to me immediately. That mattered. The message was short, apologetic, and selfish. He said he did not want drama. He hoped she was okay. He wished her well. Alana deleted it in front of me without theatrics. Then she handed me her phone and said, "You can look." I did not want to become a man who searches devices, but I needed to see if reality matched her words. I scrolled, not hunting for pain, but checking for truth. There were old messages, enough to make my stomach twist, but nothing new. I handed the phone back and said, "Thank you for not lying again." Alana nodded like she understood that thank you was not "we are fine." The kids changed in ways that were both subtle and loud. Malik started lifting weights more seriously, working out in the basement with a focus that looked like control. He stopped asking me for advice the way he used to and started watching how I handled stress instead. Nia became cautious. She double-checked everything. "Are you sure you'll be home at 5? Are you sure Grandma's picture is safe?" She started sleeping with her bunny again, even though she had outgrown it. One afternoon, I took her to a small diner near our neighborhood, the kind with cracked vinyl booths and clinking coffee cups. The waitress called her sweetheart. Nia stirred her hot chocolate and asked, "Did Mom pick him over us?" I felt my throat tighten. "No," I said. "Mom made a selfish choice. That is different than choosing someone over you, even though it hurts the same." Nia whispered, "I hate selfishness." I said, "Me too." In early spring, Alana asked if she could come to the house for Sunday dinner. Not to stay over, just dinner. I asked Malik privately. He shrugged, then said, "She can come, but I am not pretending." Nia begged for it, so we tried. Alana arrived with a pie from a corner bakery and a careful smile. She looked at the family photos in the hallway like they were fragile. At the table, Malik spoke politely but without warmth. Nia talked enough for everyone. Alana apologized again, short and direct. Malik said, "I accept that you apologized. It was not forgiveness, but it was a step." After dinner, Alana helped wash dishes, and the normalcy felt almost cruel, like a reminder of what we used to have. When she left, Nia cried quietly, and I held her in the doorway. Alana did not turn back. She kept walking to her car as if she knew looking back would break her. Months later, the divorce conversation arrived not with a dramatic fight, but with exhaustion. One night, Alana sat across from me at the counselor's office and said, "I want to keep trying, but I do not want to keep hurting you by asking for something you cannot give." Her voice was steady, and that steadiness made it sadder. I realized I had been living between two truths. I did not hate her, and I did not trust her. Some people can rebuild from that. I could not while raising children who were watching my every boundary. I said, "I do not want a war. I want a clean plan." Alana nodded, tears slipping but not spilling. We talked about custody schedules, holidays, school events. The counselor guided us into practical language because practical language is what keeps pain from turning into chaos. The divorce paperwork took longer than people think. There were forms, signatures, waiting periods, and awkward exchanges in parking lots. We told extended family with careful phrasing. Some people blamed Alana outright. Some people asked what I did to push her, That question made my stomach burn, and I learned another boundary. I stopped explaining myself to people who wanted a story more than they wanted the truth. Malik got his driver's permit and drove with seriousness that made me proud. Nia started a journal and wrote sentences that were too wise for 11. Alana showed up consistently, which mattered even when it did not fix everything. On some days, I could see the best parts of her again. Her patience with Nia's math, her way of noticing when Malik was pretending not to struggle. On other days, I could not look at her without remembering the hotel hallway. The hardest moment came at a school awards night when Nia received a certificate and looked into the crowd, searching for both of us at once. Alana and I sat on opposite sides of the auditorium, and I saw Nia's face tighten with that small, practiced sadness. Afterward, she hugged us both and said, "I wish you could sit together." Alana's eyes glistened. Mine did too. I knelt and told Nia, "We can sit together when it helps you and does not hurt us. We are learning." Malik watched, arms crossed, older than he should have been. Later in the parking lot, Malik said, "You're doing okay, Dad." It was the closest he had come to praise in months, and it hit me like warmth after a long winter. A year after Seattle, I took the kids to visit my mother's grave. The cemetery was quiet, trees moving gently in the wind. Nia held my hand tight. Malik stood with his hands in his jacket pockets, jaw clenched. I told my mother about the kids' growth, about Malik's grades, about Nia's art. I did not tell her about Alana in detail, because I did not want my mother's resting place to feel like a courtroom. Still, I whispered, I tried, and in that whisper, I realized something. The surprise trip had not destroyed my family. Alana's choices did that. The trip simply stopped the slow bleeding by forcing the wound into daylight. That clarity, painful as it was, gave me a path forward. Alana and I became something new, co-parents who respected boundaries. We talked about calendars, school fees, doctor appointments, and not much else. Sometimes she tried to slip into nostalgia, referencing old vacations or inside jokes. I did not punish her for it, but I did not follow her there. I learned that closure is not a conversation you win. It is a life you build without needing the other person to agree with your feelings. Malik eventually started speaking to Alana again in full sentences, not just yes and no. Nia kept loving her mother because that is what children do, and it was my job not to weaponize that love. The anger in me faded into something steadier, a commitment to peace. The second cruel thing Alana did, after the cheating, was pretending the consequences were negotiable. Over time, she learned they were not. She learned that apologies do not erase patterns, and that children remember tone as much as words. I learned that grief can make you accept scraps because you fear losing one more thing. I stopped doing that. I rebuilt my home around honesty, not hope, and while I would never wish a hotel hallway on anyone, it taught me a truth I needed. Surprises are for birthdays, not for repairing a marriage. Repair requires consent, clarity, and the kind of courage that shows up long before a door opens. What I take from this is simple and personal. Betrayal does not just break trust. It forces everyone around it to grow up too fast. The only way I knew to slow that damage was to draw calm boundaries and tell the truth in age-appropriate pieces, without turning the kids into messengers or therapists. Alana faced consequences that did not come from revenge, but from reality. Distance, changed routines, and the loss of access to the version of our family she took for granted. And I learned that being a steady father sometimes means choosing the painful, practical option over the romantic one. Peace is not dramatic. It is consistent. If this story hit you in a real place, tell me in the comments. What is the clearest red flag you wish you had taken seriously sooner? And what boundary would you set today if you could rewind time? The end.